You might be surprised who made derogatory comments about Venus and Serena Williams' gender. The Russian Tennis Federation president has been suspended from the WTA for 1 year and fined $25,000 for comments he made on Russian TV. I'm Kerry Chow, joined by ESPN, the magazine columnist Howard Bryant. Howard, what did RTF President Shamil Tarpischev say, and what do you make of the punishment?
Well, he was on late Russian television with the former WTA player Elena Dementieva, and she was asked what was it like to play against the Williams sisters. And Tarpischev interjected before she could speak and said something along the lines of what was it like to play the Williams brothers, obviously talking about their athletic prowess and comparing them to men. The punishment was harsh, and it was relatively swift given the fact that the comments took place a couple of weeks ago, but at the same time, I think it was the translation to the Russian blog that got the WTA's attention. And it's very clear the WTA chairman and the CEO, Stacey Alister, was not messing around with two of the WTA's greatest assets. I mean, obviously, Serena Williams is the #1 player in the world. She's the drawing card along with Maria Sharapova, and I think it's a really great example of the WTA, protecting players, because you really don't see that very often.
Yeah, you really don't see that very often. So why is the WTA coming down so harsh in this instant? Well,
it's really interesting, Kerry, that you say that, because think about the number of times that you hear fellow players, or you'll hear commentators say that Serena or Samantha Stosur, or one of the really strong players, plays like a man, hits like a man. This was different, I think, because of Tarpichev's position. He's not a peer. He's not a former player. He's a tour director of a tournament where you're trying to get the best players to come play, even though it's not a mandatory event, but still, Kremlin Cup's a big event. It's a good event for Russia, and obviously these types of comments, if they go unchecked, then it really doesn't protect the players. And I think this year we've got heightened sensitivity across all kinds of different layers in sports, and it's very interesting to see Stacey Alister really take a stand. And I think they're tired of it too. I think that's the other thing, is that the whole playing like a man and hitting like a man, and it's a really derogatory thing, especially against Serena and Venus, because of their power as players, but also because they were kind of blindsided by this. It's like they're at home minding their own business, and it was just a cheap shot, and I think it just showed that the cheap shot wasn't going to be tolerated.
Yeah, it certainly was a cheap shot. Are you surprised that someone of Tarpichev's stature would make comments like this?
Well, and once again, I think that might be one of the reasons why the punishment was so harsh, as a reminder that, hey, what are you doing? And that it's not as if the WTA, obviously it's a great tour, obviously it's in terrific standing, but in terms of publicity, this isn't what the WTA needs. The WTA needs all the good publicity it can get, and especially coming on the eve of the World Tour Finals, which start on Monday. It's not something that they needed, and I think that, yes, I think that the message that Stacey Alister was sending was to suggest that everybody be a little bit more mindful, especially when you're in that position of authority, when you're trying to attract viewers and you're trying to attract fans and you're trying to attract players to come to your tournaments. Get it together.
Get it together, absolutely. That's ESPN, the magazine columnist Howard Bryant. Howard, thanks as always.
My pleasure.
For Howard Bryant, I'm Kerry Chow with your latest ESPN headline.